I'm telling you, I'm so glad Deion said this. And Deion's willing to be the bad guy. Don't want to put you in a tough spot, Rod, but I got to ask.
Yeah.
You're a Hall of Famer, and you certainly deserve to be there. You agree with Deion?
I'm in agreement with the centennial class. I mean, every year we do have that. We have to have a mandate where we have so many guys go in. I'm not a fan of that. I'm more like a baseball. Baseball. Sometimes they have one guy. So if you belong, you belong. It's supposed to be the best of the best. Centennial class, you know, I'm just not a fan. What's going to happen in 125 years? Are we putting another 15 guys in? Then in 150 years, are we putting another 20 guys in? I mean, so what's the criteria? And then what's going to be the criteria for those guys who go in? So I'm just like, I understand what he's saying. I agree with it. I'm not a fan of it, but that's the Hall of Fame. They made that decision to do it. I know all the guys who are going in are going to be thrilled. Even when they get there, I'm going to embrace them because they're going to be wearing the gold jackets. They'll be my brothers. But I do question, like, why they did it and what's the criteria for those guys to get in on a daily basis.
Let me defer to the future Hall of Famer.
Well, see, that's what you say. You say future Hall of Famer. I don't know if that's necessarily true, to be honest with you. I'm a little in agreement with Deion. I think to be in that elite class, you have to have affected the game. You have to have been, you know, a superior player in, you know, a number of years and been at the top of your game. You had to be a guy that once you were done, everyone else used you as the measuring stick for the next person. So, you know, I hate to say it, but I'm in agreement with it, you know?
I'm glad he is campaigning this message. And this is a message that we have to fully respect. For me, the top of the mountain is not being a champion. It's being a Hall of Famer. I'll tell you why. The exclusivity. I know champions that didn't even play in the damn game. I know champions that didn't even help the team get there. But I don't know any Hall of Famers that didn't put in work and do it the right way and do it consistently. So I always look up at the top of the mountain and say, that gold jacket represents the greatest things in our sport. And it's being lost. There should be an uncomfortable distance between a guy like me who had moments in a good career and guys like y'all who had a great career. And trust me, the man in the mirror is having that conversation every single day. So why lie to the world? But now we're starting to go from the nouns, which are the numbers and the men, to the adjectives of likability and, oh, he's cool. And, wow, he really had a couple of good days, games, weeks. And it's sad because now you look at the situation in the Hall of Fame, there are guys who just don't belong. Just don't belong on the same level as guys as you. So if this continues, they're going to take away the most exclusive club that we have, which is the Hall of Fame.
One of the things I believe, Rod, and I've said this, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago, I think there should be a 10-year cap on eligibility. If you can't make it into the Hall of Fame after 10 attempts, that to me says you're not a Hall of Famer. Because to me, I just don't think when a guy's a true Hall of Famer, it doesn't take 9, 10, 11 ballots to get you on. And then for Drew Pearson, they've extended the pain of not being in the Hall of Fame for this guy for 30 years.
Yeah, and, you know, Deion's right in the sense, when he kept speaking in this conversation he had yesterday, is that when you say the name, it shouldn't be a pause. Like, is he a Hall of Famer? You go, You know, if you have to have that, he's not a Hall of Famer. He's not in that class. It's supposed to be the elite of the elite. And I try to be very unbiased with this because when they do get in, they're going to be my brothers. But with that being said, you want to see the right guys get in.
Right.
You really want to see the right guys get in. And I'm not saying that the new class is coming up with the guys who are going to be voted for Saturday. Some of those guys are legit guys. It's the centennial class that they're starting to, they did this year that has me more pause. Like, some of these guys, just, I don't know if they belong. But then, again, I'm not voting. We don't have a vote. There's only 2 current Hall of Famers that vote. That's James Lofton and Dan Fouts. Nobody else get a say-so. We get a text every now and then from some of the AP writers, and they tell me to give me their top 5. I'm like, why? It doesn't matter. Because you're not going to vote them anyway.
Changes, though, that they've had over the past, you know, number of years, especially with quarterbacks and receivers and the inflation in the numbers of what you're seeing now compared to what those guys had to go through, you know, in the past. Like, it's not even comparable. Like,
that's what we say. What is the standard bearer? Like, you know, if you're 17 years and you rush for 60 yards a game, are you a Hall of Famer? It used to be all pros. If you can't be the best at what you do in a given year or in a given time span, and they can't talk about you after the game is over, and they said, hey, they always ask the question, who's the best quarterbacks? And your name never pops up? How can you be in the Hall of Fame? Or if you're the same offensive tackle, defensive back, receiver, your name should pop up somewhere along the line, and it should pop in your air. And if it doesn't pop up in that air, you shouldn't be in Canton.
I think James makes a great point about how the game has changed in subtle ways, because I get tired of hearing people say, well, so-and-so's got better numbers than John Elway. And I go, hey, man, there's about 20% of these passes that are completions now that Ronnie Lott would have taken the receiver apart, and it would have been an incompletion. Right. So
and
don't.
he would have taken him
Rob,
apart.
no question.
Right.
And again, there was a fear of going over the middle. Now everybody signs up for it. I'll go over the middle. I'll go over the middle.
But that's future. So, okay, the Centennial class, these guys are done. Their competition is over. We're talking about the guys who are currently playing. So, you know, those guys who are getting big numbers passing the ball, when they're overly protected in the pocket, the receivers are protected outside, being a defenseless receiver. You can't make those big hits anymore. Those guys are going to have numbers who are going to outweigh other probably guys in the Hall of Fame. Are they Hall of Famers? No, they're not Hall of Famers. So I think that what's the measuring stick to what is included to be a Hall of Famer? And I think that's the question for the writers and the voters, because I don't know it. Well, I have no idea what it is.
You know, the numbers are always going to change over the eras from the 60s to today. You see the numbers increase, obviously, but that's the numerator. The denominator and the common denominator has to be dominance. I don't give a damn if you win against a 180-pound lineman. Did you dominate them? Now they're 300 pounds. Did you dominate them? I don't want to get caught up in anything else, because I think that's what's disturbing. What's disturbing is they don't know what to look for. Therefore, they're allowing anybody in. You can't have this Hall of Fame of greatness turn into the Hall of Fame of goodness.
And it seems
it's not about that.
But it seems like the more your name is out there, if you're in a bigger city, you're in a bigger market, you might get in.
Bruh, my career gets better every time I do this show. Because, you know, every day, somebody walked up to me, you were amazing. You are strong. Boy, stop lying, boy. I was feeling good, but not great.
Let me tell you how bad it is about being on TV.
Man.
I was a mediocre mid-major college football player.
Yeah.
But if you search me on Google because I do this show, people, did Jason Whitlock play in the NFL?
What? No, where'd that come from?
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. And be sure to check out more of the best clips from Speak For Yourself, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.